Comic books and graphic novels are making their way into classrooms and curricula around Canada. Kolby Solinsky is here with the Education Beat in London. Kolby, good afternoon. Tell us what's going on here. What are these comic books being used for? Are they going to replace textbooks?
Well, that was my first question too, and the answer is no. They're not used to replace textbooks. They're being used in conjunction with textbooks. The thought is that they can give students a fresher, a newer, a more exciting look back on history. So they're being used much in the same way that films are being used. So if you were to teach a course on World War II, you would maybe show them a film of Schindler's List or Saving Private Ryan. Well, now they have graphic novels to go along with that. One of the professors who I spoke to here, he's a professor of Canadian history. His name is Alan McEachern. And he told me he really wanted to stress to me that when he uses a graphic novel to teach his students some information, he's not going to use it to actually teach them the subject matter, but more so just to elaborate and to give them a fresher take on what he's trying to get across.
I suppose you could call this a sort of an old wave of educational materials, because comics have been around for a long time, but to the students it's new in the classroom setting. How are they reacting?
Well, and again, comic books have been around for a long time, but these new graphic novels with a very real, a non-fictional take are quite new to be introduced. And so far, apparently, the students have been loving them. One student in McEachern's class even wrote her PhD, and she wrote it in the form of a graphic novel. And one of the most famous graphic novels that's been used for a number of years now is called Mouse. And it's a story about the Holocaust and people's experiences there. And that's really taken a lot of flight with students, and everyone who I've talked to at Western or at British Columbia, they have all used it and they found it very effective in teaching them.
Now, you mentioned that some of these comic books and historical novels are being used to teach about figures, real-life figures in Canadian history. We're used to the idea that comic books sort of make superheroes rather than regular heroes. Is that what's sort of happening in this case?
Not yet, no. There's one coming out about Sir Frederick Banting. He won't be portrayed as Insulin Man or anything like that, but it will just be a story about how he discovered insulin. There's a book about Louis Riel and the Métis that has become very popular, and that's been introduced here in London to the high school districts, and McEachern uses it as well in his Canadian history class. So those examples are very Canadian. There's a new one coming out about World War II as well, and Mouse as well is very famous. So it's not glorifying them, it's not giving them capes, and they're not flying around the city and saving people, but it's more just a way of bringing a new light to it. There's one about the Lindbergh baby coming out as well, so it's really kind of encompassing all different walks of history.
So there is actually an event coming up in London, I believe, surrounding this.
Yeah, it's the Comic Book Day. That's next Wednesday at the London Public Library. That's March 16th. Goes from 1 to 8 p.m. and it's just a bunch of workshops, and kids will be able to learn how to draw comic books, and there'll be information sessions and lectures, much like any kind of convention would do. And it's, I guess, kind of just a fun thing for people to go and check out and learn more. It's part educational, so it can become into this conversation here in that sense. And a lot of the artists that do these different these graphic novels for history classes will be there as well. But it's also very much for the comic book industry as well, to kind of show off what they're doing and to get more respect.
Okay, thank you, Kolby. That was Kolby Solinsky, our education reporter, reporting there.